In this video, we're going to talk about factoring quadratic trinomials. So that's our goal, is to be able to factor quadratic trinomials. And specifically, we want to make them into two binomials. So you can see an example there, x squared minus 10x plus 9. We can factor that into x minus 9 times x minus 1. Let's talk for 30 seconds about why we call it factoring in the first place. Think about like a number and the factors of that number. So 20, one pair of factors is 4 and 5, because 4 times 5 is 20. So 4 and 5 are factors of 20 because they multiply to get it. Same with expressions and polynomials. X squared minus 10x plus 9 has the factors x minus 9 and x minus 1, because if I multiply x minus 9 times x minus 1, it results in x squared minus 10x plus 9. So that's why we call it factoring, is because those two binomials are factors of the trinomial. Let's take a little detour into multiplying binomials and just refresh our memories on how this works. So when I'm multiplying these, I'm going to distribute x to x and negative 7 and get x squared minus 7x, and distribute positive 3 to x and negative 7, and I get plus 3x minus 21. And when I combine my like terms, I get x squared minus 4x minus 21. A quadratic trinomial is the result of multiplying two binomials. All right, one thing to note is how we get this x squared and how we get this negative 21. In this case, it was from x times x, and the negative 21 came from positive 3 times negative 7. The middle terms are a little bit harder to figure out, but we'll get to that in a moment. All right, and I bring that up because that's pretty consistent when I'm multiplying, right? X plus 2 times x plus 10, right? The first term in my answer is going to be x squared because of x times x, right? And then I have plus 10x plus 2x, but the last term is still coming from 2 times 10, my last two terms. All right, and I simplify again. Again, x squared coming from x times x. My last term in my trinomial is coming from the last two terms in the binomials. Okay, so let's go backwards. And this is what I like to call the educated guess and check method. And emphasis on educated guess and check, right? If I say, for example, factor x squared plus 6x plus 8, I'm not going to be like, oh, I don't know, 20x plus 5 times 3x minus 10. Right, where did those numbers come from? That's guessing, but it's not an educated guess. So let's take an educated guess. First of all, I know that a trinomial often has factors that are two binomials. So I'm going to set that up. Also, because of what we know of multiplying, x squared is likely coming from x times x. So the first terms in my two binomials are going to be x and x. Then I know this 8 is coming from the last two terms of my binomials. The problem, and this is where problem solving comes in, is that 8 can be found a lot of different ways by multiplying, right? We have 1 times 8, negative 1 times negative 8, 2 times 4, and negative 2 times negative 4. All right. Those are all the factors of 8. So it's going to be one of those pairs that goes into my binomials. So let's see. knowing that when I combine my like terms, it's usually adding or subtracting, I'm going to lean towards something that adds or subtracts to 6. So here's my first educated guess. -2 and -4 come out to something similar to 6. Let's try it. All right, now I'm going to distribute x squared minus 4x minus 2x plus 8. I combine my like terms, and I get x squared minus 6x plus 8. Okay, I'm noticing this isn't quite right. Let's take a look at what's going well and what's not. What's going well is that I got x squared. That was successful. I also got positive 8. Also successful. The not so successful part is this minus 6x. Yes, it's 6, but it's not plus 6x. Okay, so I know that -2 and -4 are not the constant terms in my binomials. Let's try +2 and +4. I'm thinking that by changing the negatives to positives, that when I add my middle terms, I'll hopefully get positive 6x. So let's try that instead. All right, distributing again, I get x squared plus 4x plus 2x plus 8. Combine my like terms, x squared plus 6x plus 8. All right, and now I see that it is the exact same as the quadratic trinomial that I needed to factor. All right, that means this is factored correctly. X plus 2 times x plus 4 is equivalent to x squared plus 6x plus 8. Let's take a look at one more example. All right, this time we're going to factor x squared plus 8x. No, let's do a different one. X squared minus 8x minus 20. Okay, again, I'm using my educated guess and check method. My first educated guess is that because it's a quadratic trinomial, it will factor into 2 binomials. My next educated guess is that x squared is coming from x times x. Next up, where is this -20 coming from? Again, there's a lot of possibilities, so let's start listing some out. First of all, I notice it's negative, so now I need -1 times 20, +1 times -20. Let's see, -20, so 4 and 5, but -4 and +5, or the opposite, +4 and -5. What else? We have 2 and -10, -2 and +10. I'm trying to think if there's any other factors of -20. 1, 2, 3 is not a factor, 4, 5, and now we've gotten into repeats. So I think I have all the factors. All right, and we learned last time that middle term is coming from addition or subtraction. So let's take our first educated guess. I noticed that 2 and -10 and -2 and 10, right, I can add those to get some form of 8, either positive or negative. So let's try x minus 2 times x plus 10 and see what happens. All right, I distribute this, and I get x squared plus 10x minus 2x minus 20. Combine my like terms, and I get x squared plus 8x minus 20. My first and last term are correct, but still it's that middle term that has a plus instead of a minus. But that does eliminate -2 and 10. So I know it's not this, but let's take a second educated guess. Because that does probably hint to me that it's +2 and -10, since 2 minus 10 is -8. So let's try that. X plus 2, x minus 10. So we get x squared minus 10x plus 2x minus 20. Combine my like terms. X squared minus 8x minus 20. And now it matches exactly, so I know that the correct factors are x plus 2 and x minus 10. That, when multiplied, is equivalent to x squared minus 8x minus 20. All right, one note, I'm taking educated guesses, but as you guys practice this, you'll start to see patterns and start to see repeat problems, and I know that eventually we'll be able to get to a point where you can just look at the factors and say what they are. Let's take one example of that. So if I have, so this one we're going to do fairly quickly. X squared plus 8x plus 12. All right, I'm setting up my two binomials, x and x, factors of 12 that add to 8. Let's see, 4 and 3, 1 and 12, 6 and 2. There we go. So plus 6 plus 2. And I'm just going to do a quick check, but I'm fairly certain that's correct. When I multiply it back out, x squared plus 2x plus 6x plus 12. And we get the exact same thing. It's also okay if you had written it x plus 2 times x plus 6. Either one of those is fine. All right. And that's how fast you will be able to do it after a little bit of practice.